Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. And MONDELEZ International, for those who haven't heard the name, that's who we are. This is the company, some of our brands. I'm sure at a point you have eaten a bar of our chocolate or cookies, but we are a global company. We are a global company. We exist in about 160 countries, 900 sites. Have about 100,000 users or employees worldwide. So in terms of scale, we're quite big. What we have done over the years is that the company has grown over mergers and acquisitions. So for many, many years, since I joined actually, and I started with Cadbury like 9 years ago, we were just out of a major divestiture from Schweppes. At the point, it was Cadbury Schweppes. And then suddenly Kraft acquired Cadbury, and then we gone into an integration of Kraft and Cadbury, which were two big companies on their own. And then just coming out of that, when we were finishing, Kraft Foods decided that we were going to split the business into two. Kraft Foods is going to become a global grocery business, mainly focusing on North America, while MONDELEZ, the new company that came on, was going to be the global confectionery business that looks everywhere. And when we launched MONDELEZ, it was actually the first time after many years that we had a moment of, well, let's look at what we have done over the years, which was just throw money, throw resources to get all these integrations of business mergers and acquisitions and divestiture, and look at our how much we spend on IT as percentage of revenue. And it was big, not what our beer companies would have, or not best in class. And as part of that, the business actually decided not only IT, but we were going to go through a huge transformation in the whole business, basically restructuring everything. And technology was one of the 13 main areas that the board decided we are going to focus on. So back in 2013, that's a big glance of how we were. You name it, we had it. Suppliers, you name it, we would have had one of them. I think at the point we looked and we had about 800 to 900 suppliers for IT. At the point, we had about 1,600 applications. Although we were predominantly SAP house, we consider one of the top 3 SAP users worldwide. We had huge infrastructure backbone, about 8 data centers, thousands of servers, be it local or in data centers, and our end user as well, computing was in different platforms. So when we started looking at it, we decided, okay, let's have a blank sheet. What would you do with technology? And basically, we started thinking about a vision, a place that we would like to be in, and then looking at how we can find some levers to get us there. So obviously, we wanted access anywhere. We wanted people to be able to have access to their applications or data from anywhere, because we have a global workforce. We wanted it to be at any time, any device, easy to support. And we have a lot of self-service tools and as a service model, be it software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and we all heard all the service models. And on top of that, great user experiences. And with any transformation, we'll be fooling ourselves if we say any company will just give you a blank check and say, go and spend on technology without a return on investment. So the main driver as well was reducing our cost. And we decided that we are going to focus on 4 levers. You'll find 5 bubbles here, but we have figured out that actually the follow me computing part is going to be coming when we have done all these bits. And these levers were focusing around basically cloud computing, which everyone wanted, but not just for the hype of it, it's for the speed, because we wanted the speeds that cloud computing get. We had our own data centers supplied by our outsourcers, but we found that to get a server ready, for example, it would take like 15 days because of all the forms that you need to fill and the manager's approval and blah, blah, blah. So this is why we named it Cloud First. So anything that we will build moving forward, we had Cloud First as sort of our go-to thinking that we are. And we didn't say we are going to just go all in the cloud. We said we are going to implement a hybrid vision of it. So it will be public cloud, private cloud, and on-premise, and moving away from any local as much as we can. Then the second one was unified communication. At the time, we were having about 5 or 6 tools at any one point that people used to communicate, be it your email, audio conferencing, video conferencing, your desk phone, your mobile, IM tools, live meeting for sharing presentations in meetings, and so on and so forth. So we decided we wanted to bring this in one place. The other bit was to support all these infrastructure and application changes, you needed a robust infrastructure. And with moving into cloud, and it was one of the questions actually, what does it do to your bandwidths for all this new technology? So again, we started thinking about how we can reduce our cost of corporate networks by actually shifting as much as we can over to public internet circuits and reducing or keeping the corporate network as it is, and prioritize the traffic in there to focus on business critical applications and move all of the over the internet traffic over there. Application rationalization, we have been having about 1,600 applications worldwide. This is what we figured when we've done our analysis, and we put a target for ourselves to reduce it by about 50% and move into global first, regional second, eliminate the local application level, and move more to SAP because we invested heavily in it. So if we can look at how we can move any business process that uses an application into SAP, we will do it. And as part of all that, follow me computing, which was access your data anywhere from any device, will come naturally because then you modernize your infrastructure, your applications that will enable that. Happy to take questions as we go. We don't have to go through. I've put things high level because this is like being a 3 years program, so I'm not going to be able to do justice on explaining everything.
The question. So as you did your apps, right, and you prioritize, and then you said you move things into SAP. Did you also look at going cloud, SAP cloud?
Yes. So what basically we have done is that first thing, we got really good sponsor from our board. That's the first thing that helped us a lot. So our board supported us. We were one of the big transformation vehicles in the organization. When we first started, actually, we've seen that, okay, we are going to do technology transformation, IT is transforming their own stuff. But then we found that as the company was doing transformation in their other 12 areas, supply chain, finance, so on and so forth, their transformation was depending on technology. So we needed to do our own transformation, but help the other companies. And to your question, what we have done differently is not going to departments talking to them about technology. We brought our business process engineering teams to be part of IT. So actually we've done an organization change that brought this team into IT. And we started looking into the business process of each area to understand, okay, how can we look at your end-to-end business process and see what technology you use to make it more efficient, and during this process, if we can actually eliminate an application or move it to cloud, it will be. We looked at SAP Cloud. It was not an option for us because of the size of our databases. It will not work in cloud, and this was SAP. But what we have done is, without going into too much technology, SAP works on, you have the database and you have application servers. And the database stayed in-house or on a traditional hosting, and we moved the application servers into cloud. So it's a hybrid tool.
The 1,500 applications you mentioned, are they sort of IT internal services type applications? What about things you actually build, like your public-facing websites and your actual sort of more bespoke web application sort of space? Is that?
That includes everything. That includes everything. Okay, so I'll start first with the Unified Communication 1, because this was actually the biggest challenge as an IT organization we had, or I had in my career so far. What we set ourselves to do here is to move into Link. At the time we started it was Link 2013, now it's called Skype for Business, and we are going through that. But basically our vision was you're going to have one place for all your communication. So basically we rolled out, we've done a big RFP to move into global supplier. And then we said, okay, we are going to give Link to every employees that have got access to a PC. So that's about 60,000 users. And this will give you, day one, the functionality of IM, sharing your screen or desktop with a colleague, and give you voice BC to BC. And then the next phase will be, we're going to get rid of all of our audio conference facilities. And we had like 3. And we were spending something like $8 million a year on audio conferencing. We're going to get rid of all these tools and going to integrate into your Link. And then to add a bit more into it, we had 3 different video conferencing capabilities. We said, okay, you're going to get rid of all of those as well, and your go-to tool will be, again, Link. So you do your video calls, or you join, I can be home, and I will join into an immersive video room in our board through my laptop home. So we've done that as well. But the biggest piece was, all right, so we need to reduce our cost more, and that's through taking away the BSTN files and all the heavy infrastructures that you invest in the backbone. And to do that, you needed to get people away from phones. So we are now in the process of actually moving or taking people's phones out of their desks and converting sites to be totally voice over IP. We are now out of our 60,000 user in about 20,000 penetration. And this was a big, all these things were a big cultural shift for our users. And at the same time, the organization is every department is going through their own transformation. So they are changing tools, processes, and so on and so forth. And we found that actually an employee can handle so much change at one point. And to take away their 5 tools that they were very used to use and just throw it into, okay, this is what you're using now, it was a bit difficult. But it's the biggest success that we had so far. People cannot work without it now. It's considered now one of our critical business applications, because through this, we have reduced our travel cost by about 50 to 60%. That's millions and millions of dollars. We have made our people and executive more productive, because you have it on your phone, smartphone, you have it on your iPad, on your laptop. You can make calls to your colleagues from any place. You can share your presentations wherever you want from any place. What we underestimated is that the rate of adoption with some people might be very high, that people started arranging, for example, early calls. I'll have a 7 a.m. meeting while I'm in my car going to the office, because I can easily now join. I don't have to type these crazy code numbers to get into my audio conference. It's just a click on your invite and hey ho, you are into the conference. So people started using it in their cars, while in their airports, wherever. And then come back and complain the call quality was bad. And we found that, well, I cannot control your 3G or 4G or wherever you were on when you were on the move and shifting between networks. So it was a journey. it was a journey to get our board as well to see what you are complaining about actually is not, you didn't have these before. We've given you something extra, so I cannot control your home network or when you are in the road. And the learning again from that is don't underestimate the change and communication. We needed to do lately a lot of e-learning courses and translate it into about 18 languages to roll out these learning modules to the organization so they know how to use the tool and be more effective. We've done a lot of campaigns in-house to have, we call them link ambassadors. So we will go to finance and say, okay, you're technology savvy people, and they will be an ambassador to teach their departments on, how to use it effectively. So that was one. The other thing, we revamped our communication. We have had some branding around it, and we started to collaborate with Microsoft it's very rich in terms of reporting that you can get out of it. So when Mr. John comes and say, I had a very horrible meeting yesterday, can go and actually see what Mr. John done, because he was using an Android device with a Bluetooth headset and on a 3G. So I can tell you, well, this is what you have done, Mr. John. You weren't using your corporate laptop, you weren't on a network that's supported by us, and actually we've given you a USB headset that through testing we figured actually that wired headsets are the best, because 50% of our problems was people using Bluetooth headsets. So data again driven enabled us to have a different communication and dialogue with our business leaders and partners. We were so first we said we are going to let them do what they want. So people were using their iPhone earbuds, some were using Bluetooth, and then we started, well, actually, if we want higher penetration, higher success rate, we are going to give everyone a headset. And this is what we have done. We've just given people headsets, USB headsets, connected to the device.
What was your experience?
Sorry, and then from the application perspective, how did you get the applications to those devices? Was that user-driven, or did you actually use tools?
So on the company-managed laptops, we've pushed it to users through SACM and all the tools. But then on your phone, we told people, well, go to the app store and download it, and then people were using
So
whatever.
all about the business change.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, what was your experience with the sort of adoption with external parties or suppliers using Link as well?
Well, with our suppliers and partners, so we have two things. So with our strategic partner, as we call them, we are federated. So it's as if they are an employee with us. So we can reach out to them. So HPE, IBM, wherever, they are on the same federation of networks, so we can use it. But at the same time as well, we have enabled Skype for Business or Link web. So you are external, you haven't done business with us before, I'll send you a meeting invitation, it will have a link in there. You click, it will, if you don't have Link installed, it will fire up a web application that will let you use it. All right, any questions, unified communication? All right, we move on. Cloud first, okay, that's dear to my heart because I used to look after infrastructure and hosting before I moved into transformation. And at a point, pretty much everyone I met with was, why are we not in the cloud? My CIO, my CTO, is like, why we are not in the cloud? And cloud means a lot of things to different people. And we had all flavors, but basically what we decided, as I said earlier, is that with our own approach, we'll think of cloud first in anything we move forward with. We done a huge, we spent a year analyzing and testing pretty much all of the cloud providers, the big ones out there. Because everyone claims to be the best out there, but they might be for you, but not for me. And this is what we have done through the investigation, is to figure out actually what will work for an organization like ours with our challenges. We didn't rush into a decision. So again, because of the scale, we usually get a lot of free testing seats, or we have relations with these guys, so we will just go and test it. We found that there is no one size fits all. This is why we decided we are going to team with a public cloud provider, which is, in our case, is Microsoft, because we just have a relationship with them, and it was the best that could service our need at the point. And we've done a huge RFP on, okay, we are going to get out of the traditional hosting. So actually, through the transformation now, we have reduced from 8 data centers to 4. They are all outsourced, they are not ours, but we have compartments in there dedicated to us. And as part of that, we have revamped our disaster recovery and our business continuity services while reducing our cost. Because what we have done is that we use the model of using cloud for disaster recovery. So basically, you are only paying for it when it comes live. You are only paying for the storage. And that's a very strong cost lever. We're using a private cloud environment, so basically you share with a number of other organizations a lower layer of compute, but at the top layer or the application layer is dedicated to you, which gives more security to the business. So those are the applications or services that we feel it's sensitive and it's business critical to us. We don't want it to be in the public domain. And then traditionally, we still have our SAP core on real data centers, old-fashioned hosting.
And is that, you say public, not in the public domain, so is the connectivity to that platform over the public internet?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, it is over. You will not get the scale of saving and cost if you don't do it. So if you're going to go public cloud, you just need to be prepared to do public cloud. And this is where our, as well, network shifts into moving this traffic into the public cloud.
Just quickly ask you as well, if the cloud is, one aspect of the cloud is positioned from a DR and from a backup perspective. So on the one side of the equation, you've got this consumption-only based model. How do you reconcile that with the network, where networks typically are static and you need to sort of still pay for these physical networks even if you're not using them?
So this is why we have done with a specific deal. So when we have done our RFP, we selected a company. Again, we with our data center, so we have changed the location of the data center to be our secondary data center, or the failover is in a data center that they can provide cloud services from. So we have already invested in the network links between the primary and the secondary data centers, so it's already there. The traffic will just shift from physical servers into their disaster recovery compartment. So we're not investing extra for that. And again, all this needs to be part of your design, because you will figure out very quickly network cost is astronomical. Still at this age, if it's a corporate dedicated with a failover, it's very expensive. Yeah. What we have figured actually when we started implementing is that it helped us a lot with understanding applications, because every application owner will tell you, cannot get rid of my application. I have these people. We knew that we reduced our application footprint a bit, but we didn't know to what extent, because we didn't know what we didn't know. And as we were doing the transformation, we had a very aggressive timeline on moving into the cloud. And we were talking about shifting 70% of our workload into cloud, be it public or private. So we pretty much touched every single server in the organization. And surprise, surprise, we found 600 servers, or 670 servers by the latest count, that had applications that are obsolete, not working anymore. No one uses them. And the rules that we followed is that, okay, we will reach out to the application owners that we know about. If within 2 weeks we get no response, we're going to shut it down and keep it shut down for another 2 weeks. If after another 2 weeks we don't get any response, it's gone forever. As we've moved, actually, we reduced that by a week on each side. So we give you 1 week, because we figured out actually people don't come back and these applications are not there. So it helped us with actually our application modernization, because there's a lot of applications no one using. And the next layer actually is that you have hybrid cloud, you have in it public, private, and you have your own hosting. And then you have software as a service. So that's all your HR people, finance people, supply chain people going, getting software as a service tools. And there is no one place that actually you can see all these things. And it kills your license agreements, because you might be having new employees joining, some leaving, but no one is deleting the accounts of these people leaving. So you see yourself always increasing your licensing cost because you need to add more people. And what we have worked on is that we said we want one platform that will manage all of our cloud, software as a service, Office 365, because that's what we use as well. And it's, the vision is that when it gets into the next generation is that you can just go click and get what you want. Now we can provision in a server in, I think the latest is 15 minutes. Few clicks, bingo, you are up and running. Okay. Internet first, so that's networking. And this is the stuff that no one wants to talk about or hear about outside the network team or the techies, because it's quite complex. At any one point, we had about 500 suppliers in the network space, because some countries, actually, they don't have, the global players don't have administrations there. So you need to work with someone in, let's say, Ghana or in South Africa or in Egypt or in somewhere in Mexico, because they don't have global presence. Our network cost would have gone up massively if we continued with the old version, because bandwidth requirements were going very high. So this is where we started investing in network tools first to manage our traffic, prioritize it, understand where it is, and then shift the network traffic that we know doesn't need to be on a corporate network. We found that about 50% or 60% of our traffic is email and SharePoint. And this was sitting on Office 365. It did not need to be on the corporate network. So we shifted that traffic on a public circuit. You increase obviously there, but the cost is totally different, which helped us to maintain the corporate network steady and helped us to reduce actually the number of suppliers that we have to a handful and work with some global ones that will integrate everything for us. Again, it's been a journey there. Without these guys, you could not do the first part, which is unified communication, or the second part, which is cloud, because it needed to be there. Follow me computing comes naturally as part of that, but this is a difficult one because you have a big state, Windows 7, Windows 8, you go to Windows 10, you give people Apple Macs, bring your own device, then you have mobile, be it Apple or iOS or Android, and then to add a mix, we've done a big technology transformation with our sales team. We have about 15,000 sales rep on the move. And what they were using before is spreadsheets, or they take their laptop and go into a shop to sell something. But what we figured as well, they will go into a shop, fill a spreadsheet, then go back to their desk while their laptop was them, sit down to fill the spreadsheet on the laptop. It's just wasted time. So we teamed up with a company that provided an app to help them with that gets integrated on a platform, be it iOS or Android. We decided on an Android because of the cost of ownership of devices, and it sits on a public cloud platform. And as part of that, we found actually that suddenly we need to manage a huge mobile device state. What do you use? How do you secure it? How do you send updates and all this good stuff. So it wasn't as easy as we figured. And then we wanted to give everyone access to their, we had different tools to back up your laptop, My Documents. So as we get 365, there is OneDrive for business that you can use. But we figured out that it will kill us and kill our network if we uploaded all these users' data to OneDrive. So the first one-time upload of data to OneDrive will bring the network to its knees, basically. So we decided maybe OneDrive will be adopted slowly for the next. So we are not there with Follow Me Computing. It's a bigger vision, but it needs a lot of work still. So don't if someone comes say, I'll give you a light touch laptop or wherever, just check it well before you decide to go on it.
Why did you decide on OneDrive instead of SharePoint?
SharePoint does not give you the folder structure that people want, and you cannot back user data. Like I cannot back your My Documents to SharePoint automatically. And you cannot have, with OneDrive, I have it on my mobile, I have it on my iPad, everywhere. You can access your data everywhere. SharePoint is more about sharing documents in a group rather than personal. OneDrive is for you only. You can decide to use some of it with other people, but it's mainly for your data on your laptop. Application modernization. As I said, we used our business process teams to analyze processes, to be able to understand what each application is doing, and to then have a meaningful conversation with this application owner and partner with them to say, well, maybe you should use this native functionality in SAP, or maybe you can integrate your local application and use the regional or the global application. We aimed for 50%. I think we are about 30 now. The program is 3 years old, so the journey continues. We figured out that transformation never ends in our day and age. So we thought, yeah, it would be 3 years program, but we figured that when we first started, we had a financial target as well. That's one thing to say. And when we got all of our ideas together, basically, we only reached 60% of our target. But at the point, our CIO said, well, within 3 years, actually, the technology would have moved on, and we will figure how to get the extra 40% of savings. As I stand here today, I can tell you we exceeding the targets that we were given for cost reduction, because the technology have actually moved on, and we could find more ways to streamline processes and introduce new tools that saves us money. Few lines on actually the integration, because cloud is great, but actually applications need to be able to live in cloud. And the other big thing to think about is applications, and no offense to any application people in the room, is application owners tend to say, okay, I'm gonna put an application, they forget about investing on the life cycle management of an application. So you have legacy applications running on an old platforms that the infrastructure guys will keep supporting and patching old infrastructure to keep an application running. Once you move in cloud, you don't have this option. The application needs to move on with the infrastructure, actually. So it's the other way around. Because you get updates sent to everyone, you cannot decide I'm not upgrading. And this is the conversations that we had to have with the application teams to say, you need to build in your budgets, cost for application lifecycle management. And that's it. I hope I was helpful. I'm around for any question if you need to ask me anything. All right, thank you.